All right. Well, there you go. A little intro. What's going on, everybody? Well, welcome to a special exclusive Renegade Radio exclusive interview, end of the year interview. If there ever would be one, I thought I was done doing interviews for a little while after I did the last one with Mark Marshall here a couple weeks ago. But lo and behold, after I announced the interview coming up with for season 4 of Renegade Radio coming up here soon, doing an interview with Dennis McNulty. Lo and behold, my friend Gary here decided that he also had a story to tell, and he definitely does as far as the relation with Dale Shannon as we celebrate his 90th birthday today, as of Monday, December 30th, 2024. I can't believe 90 years old already. It was only 3 months ago when I turned 41, so I got ways to go until I get that far. But anyway, we are here with my friend Gary Gerner, and he's part of the Writers Guild, and he's done some things in his life, that are pretty interesting, I would say, and we're going to talk about it. And welcome to this Renegade Radio exclusive, there, Gary.
Thank you very much, Frankie. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you getting a hold of me because normally everything that like if I get a request like that, it normally goes right to my spam, and I don't. It takes me a while to respond back, but I seen it, and so I just thought, well, hey, it's not too often that people come to me and want to do something with me. Where normally I'm the one asking and begging, and for an interview or whatever. So you made it easy on me, Gary.
No begging is required.
So as we celebrate Del Shannon's or Charles Wheaton Westover's big day, that would have been his 90th birthday today. I mean, the memories, like I can only imagine that you have of Del, or just him in general, just because of who he was and everything. I have my memories, but I never met the guy. I never knew him in person because by the time I was a little kid when he committed suicide and everything. So it's kind of what's kind of your relationship with him?
Well, just like lots of people who grew up in the 50s and 60s, of course, hearing his stuff on AM radio back east. I grew up in the New York area, and two favorite radio stations back then, the two big stations playing rock music or pop music, were WABC AM and WMCA AM. And they both had, a core group of DJs on WABC. I think their evening jock, if I remember correctly, was Cousin Brucey, Bruce Morrow. And WMCA had a similarly popular DJ.
Sure. Well, that's awesome
So
to know.
it's his that initial string of hits is pretty amazing when you put them all together, and it's not just Runaway, it's the other stuff too. Especially for me, Searchin', and I'm of course blanking on the title of the other one around the same time, but just great material, and to be able to write a tight song like that and sort of fit the 2.5 minute mark for AM radio of that era, amazing stuff.
Absolutely, and I feel the same way because it's like his stuff. I kind of compare him and Greg Kinn a lot because they kind of are known for a lot of the same things. Where it's like they created lots of music, but nobody ever really, unless you really dug into the albums or whatnot, you didn't know anything else that they did. And both popular overseas as well, and both kind of lived their own lives the way that they did. But with Dell, he. Like I feel like like he was treated pretty good in America, but he should have been given the royal treatment. You don't hear his name a lot, when it comes to just a lot of things nowadays. And
well, it's funny that you say that because I was actually, before I started writing this, I was talking to a friend, and he knew a lot more about what happened to Dell after that initial string of hits. So
Okay.
as I began researching it, I discovered all that stuff. I mean, the fact that he continued to be extremely popular in the UK, even though his popularity here might appear to have waned. And so I just discovered a lot of great stuff and did some terrific interviews with those people who were close to him. That includes, of course, his wife Shirley, his son Craig. They were kind enough to speak with me. James Popenhagen, Steve Monahan, his late friend, Dan Burgoyce, former manager. So it was just very generous of them to take the time to speak with me. And of course, I also have to thank Dell's estate attorney, Neville Johnson, who gave me the go-ahead to pursue the project.
Okay. Wow. It sounds like you know more people than I do, which is
Well,
not surprising, I guess.
you can't start a true story without talking to as many people who may have known the subject of your story. Then you're truly making stuff up. I mean, granted, every biopic of somebody, whether it's from rock and roll or elsewhere, it has to ring true ultimately. You weren't there for, to hear conversations between Dell and I wasn't either, of course, between Dell and his family or Dell and anybody else. However, getting to talk to the people who were there, who did talk to him, who shared those stories, that's what was key. And I never would have tackled the project if those people hadn't been kind enough to tell me their stories.
Sure. So let's learn. Before we really get on the Dell train here tonight, let's learn as much as we can about you, because you seem like you also live kind of an interesting life. As far as the things that you've done in your life, and you're kind of one of those guys that I would say, or would really consider, like an unknown, even though you're known, but you're kind of an unknown gem of the pop culture world.
Well, just I had a great connection when I moved to Los Angeles, thanks to somebody I went to school with back east, and that led to my first real show business job. Simply was working as a page at a studio, the old Metro Media studio here in Hollywood, and that then led to contacts within Norman Lear's company, because almost all of his shows were being produced at that facility. He had moved the shows that everybody remembers, All in the Family and Maude, moved over to that facility along with the Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, American, and many other shows.
Sure. And
of several of those shows.
Yeah. And all those shows. I mean, I grew up on a lot of that stuff, even though I was born in 1983. But I own, like, on DVD. I own like All the Family and Jeffersons, and I think What's Happening. I think on
no, What's Happening was not one of his.
Oh, it was not. Oh,
no.
Okay. Well, I'm just telling you, like, for like I'll show you here.
Yeah. I understand. No, and those shows, there's a reason that those shows are still in very, very heavy rerun mode. You can turn on one of the over-the-air channels here, and they run All in the Family kind of back to back with Maude and the Jeffersons and many of his other shows.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I like about it, because they talk about how like All in the Family and all that, Jefferson was so racist, or they just like they wouldn't be able to make stuff like that today. I think they're just too scared to, more or less. I mean, because it's like everyone's worried about being canceled. Well, back in the day, Norman Lear wasn't worried about being canceled because everybody loved what he was doing.
Yeah, he was able to, because of his success, he was able to stand up to CBS at certain moments. Anybody who's interested, I would highly recommend reading his autobiography.
Yeah, yes. And I mean, I just imagine that when you went to work and got to work with him and work with everybody else, that those days were just magical. I'm sure.
Yes,
It,
that's a great description. I mean, a few weeks prior to getting the job as a page, I was just struggling like everybody else, and
sure.
I got the page job. It was a severely limited job in terms of the hours you could work. You could only work, excuse me, 20 hours a week, and the pay back in the mid 70s was a whopping $2.50 an hour. So you were
Really?
limited, you were limited to that. And then
Okay.
fortunately I made some connections there, and the job working as a gopher and then production staff and then writer for Norman's company came along.
Okay. That's that's kind of crazy to even know that because I would have figured that you would have been like on a contract or whatever, like right away. Like,
No,
hey,
no,
we're
no,
working
nothing
for
like,
TV. So,
very few things like that happen in real life.
so as a page, then what are some of your responsibilities then? Like,
Oh,
what
that
would you have
was
to do?
Yeah, that was somewhat insane because a lot of people never read what's written on the backs of the tickets,
Okay.
the audience tickets, which basically says it's first come, first serve, and you may not get in to the taping of your choice. So there would be hundreds of people lined up for any one of those shows you mentioned, and then if they didn't get in, they might get a little testy, to be polite.
Okay.
So you'd have to tell them, hey, we'll give you tickets for another taping and hope you can come back next week or in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Okay. So would you consider a page job almost like what they call an intern, kind of like, or was
No,
that totally different?
a page job is more like being, although they don't have them anymore, more like being an usher, an old time usher at a movie theater.
Okay.
You help keep the audience happy while they're waiting in line. You talk to them. They ask you lots of questions about the
Okay.
show, and so yeah, it's more similar to being a movie theater usher. But
Okay.
it's also a place. It's also a great starting place.
Yeah.
CBS still has ushers. NBC still has ushers. I'm not sure about ABC. I should say pages. I'm sorry. Pages. Lots of people started out as pages, be they behind the camera or in front. And yeah, so that's the best description of a page job.
Okay. Yeah, I've always kind of wondered that because there's some people that I've interviewed before that were talking about being a page here and a page there. I'm just like, well, what
Yep.
the hell is that? You
Yeah,
know. So
you got to wear a very uncomfortable light blue polyester sports jacket that you had to wear at every taping. And there were, besides Norman shows, there were many other shows that were produced at that facility. So you got to see lots of people who you could never have imagined seeing in person.
okay. Well, that's interesting. Oh, well, I mean, it's like you just don't know what day to day who's going to
Yep,
walk through that door or
yep,
that gate or whatever. Okay.
yep.
Okay, that's interesting. Did you have any encounters with anybody that was, like
Yeah, I
very
mean,
rude
I know
and
we
stuff?
want to talk about Dell, so I'll keep these kind of stories to a minimum.
Sure.
Um, Before I got the job, well, it was when I had the job as a page, but it was more working for Metro Media than it was working on the Norman shows. Um, I'd be stationed in the lobby of the Metro Media facility, and the security guard there would tell me, "Oh, you need to go meet so and so outside," and then escort them into the building. and show them to a certain place. So I suppose the strangest person who falls into that category was, I was told that for some reason Hugh Hefner, the head of Playboy, was coming to Metro Media, not for any video, but for some conference he was having with a group of people. And so I was told, so meet him at the loading dock, take him to the elevator, go upstairs with them, and show them where this conference room is. Now, one of the only things I knew about Hugh Hefner before that moment, aside from the fact that he started and was the head of Playboy, was that he loved Pepsi Cola. And so I go out to meet what turns out to be his limo, and he and several people get out of the limo, and I introduce myself and say, I'll escort you upstairs. And sure enough, one guy gets out of the limo behind Hefner, and he's carrying a 6-pack of Pepsi.
Jeez. Okay.
I tried not to laugh or let on.
You were expecting him to have something else, or like some alcohol?
No. I just thought it was an unusually bizarre experience. It's still a bizarre experience.
Hey, it kind of reminds us, think about Dell. I don't know if Dell liked Pepsi or not, but I do remember hearing his Pepsi ads.
Oh yeah, he did. He did that great commercial, which was in the vein of, was it Hats Off to Larry? I think.
It was like,
and that's it. That's actually in the script.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. It's interesting. Today's a special day for those that don't know. It's the birthday, or what would have been Dell's 90th birthday, and I think about a lot of times because I grew up liking, like, I didn't learn about Dell until later in life, when I was like a teenager and stuff, because I grew up liking Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was one of those guys that I was introduced to because my dad got me into music and stuff. And we'd always watch the Buddy Holly story and La Bamba and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. And, we always listened to radio, oldies radio. And I always wondered about Del Shannon because we'd hear about Runaway and all that stuff. But I knew this guy had more of a story, but I just didn't know what, because this was like the mid-90s. And I was just kind of growing up, as a kid. But I had a friend who loved music as well and loved oldies and whatnot. And we kind of gravitated together and kind of put our love for Dell together. And we never did anything exciting, but we loved listening to his music. Every time we'd find a song that we'd never heard of before, it was just a magical time. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said earlier, I certainly knew a lot about the initial string of hits he had. Didn't know that much about what happened later. It was my friend who turned me on to what turned out to be his final 2 albums, Drop Down and Get Me and Rock On. And both of them involved Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, as some of your listeners may know.
Oh yeah.
I really think, and Jeff Lynne co-produced the Rock On album along with Del and Tom and Mike Campbell. Actually, I think Tom was not involved as a producer on the final album, but he was certainly involved with the Heartbreakers on Drop Down and Get Me. So hearing those songs really for the first time as I dove into the research, was somewhat of an eye-opener, because he'd written these great songs, especially on Rock On, which almost never get airplay, even on like public radio rock stations. But they're really powerful songs. There's a lot of great music on the Rock On album, and I recommend it to any of your viewers, listeners, because it's really worth hearing. To my mind, it's a tiny bit overproduced, but That's kind of Jeff Lynne's influence, I believe.
It's
And
probably why it sounds the way it does, because it kind
yeah,
of had
yeah,
that I know he was going to be originally part of the Traveling Wilburys, but they kind of had that Traveling Wilburys sound quality kind of like to it.
yeah. That's how. I don't know if you had a chance to look at those, to look at those pages,
Oh, I
but
did, but it's a lot
yeah.
to
Okay,
read, so
so
I could read it
so
all.
as you saw, although you couldn't read past those initial few pages, so the screenplay is bracketed by meeting the Wilburys at a Hawaiian estate where they actually were rehearsing. And then it's bracketed at the end by that phone call, which is somewhat mythological, from Tom Petty to Del, inviting him to be a member of the Traveling Wilburys after Roy Orbison's passing.
Sure.
So I just thought that was granted, it may not be the truest of true elements, but it was a good dramatic choice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I always kind of wonder what his life would have been like if he would have just went that route, and then not only that, but then you know lived.
Yeah, I
Suicide and all
think
that stuff. Go ahead.
I think he would have, you know, I think that would have been obviously an incredible boost to his career and for him personally. Also, it would have reignited interest in his other records, his other solo records, and also introduced him to a whole new audience
Yeah,
because it would be hard to beat a band comprised of those musicians.
yeah. That was almost like a freaking all-star band, pretty much.
Yeah,
If you think
exactly,
about
exactly. And to me, what
it.
really one of the things that shows Dell's power still to this day is the fact that his music continues to be used in current television series. For example, Runaway was used in what was the final season of Dexter a couple of years ago,
Okay.
because because it fit the overarching arc of that series at the time, and it was also used in an HBO series that began with the Vietnam War. And so one of the characters is talking about Del Shannon and specifically about Runaway. And
Okay.
one of the cool things about that song is I use it in my pitch. I ask 3 questions when I pitch the story to prospective producers. I say, whose first single is on Rolling Stone's list of the top 500 records of all time? Now, granted, that's a rather broad, almost absurd question to ask somebody because no one's going to guess it from that. Then I narrow it down with my second question, which is who not only influenced the Beatles, but was the first American artist to cover one of their tracks. And that's obviously also Del. Some
Right.
people, that gives people a time frame. So they often guess, but often guess wrong. And then the final question, which really narrows it down for a lot of people, but only a few people have guessed it, is who is going to take Roy Orbison's place in the Traveling Wilburys after he passed away. And
Wow.
some people know that story, but most people don't know the answers to the other 2 questions.
Sure. 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 Yeah, that makes a great trivia for a lot of people because they're especially to young people. I really
Oh
feel
yeah,
like there's got to be a lot of young people that got to wonder about the history of music and wonder where it all happened and wonder
well,
about Dell and his contributions and
yeah.
stuff.
You mentioned something really important earlier that your dad turned you on to a lot of music, and
Yes,
and
yes,
that's been true with a lot of my friends because they didn't want their they didn't want their kids just listening to the so-called pop radio that
uh-huh,
those particular kids grew up with, and they wanted them to know about the legendary artists. I'm not a big fan of the term classic rock. I think it does a disservice to many, many artists.
Sure.
So I'll just say legendary bands or legendary artists because they're all worth listening to, and I really hope that a lot of people explore that if they haven't already.
Oh, absolutely, and I couldn't agree more because I come here as a fan of Dell, no matter
Yep,
what.
yep,
I've always loved
absolutely.
Dell. I've always appreciated his music. He's one of those guys that I wish I could have interviewed. Back in the day, or even while I'm doing it now.
Yeah,
I figure he would have a lot to say because well, from what James was telling me and even Craig, his son, that he was just a hell of a guy. He was
yep,
just like he wasn't, an asshole or whatever. I mean,
no,
yeah, but you have to be sometimes when people, keep bugging you or whatever. But like, he was one of the people. He was one of us. He was famous,
yeah.
but he was like, he had his issues and stuff, and that's what I don't understand. That I wish he could have got some help or something because he didn't have
Well,
to do what he did.
at the time, um, he was prescribed Prozac, which was
Okay.
a new drug at the time. And even though I don't know all the details about this, I may be misspeaking, but I think that the drug company um, might have had some internal studies revealing that for some people this was not a good idea to take Prozac, even though it was meant to help those very people. And so with Dell, unfortunately, it exacerbated his, nowadays we would call it bipolar. Back then, I think it was more known as manic depressive. And so it is unfortunate that it pushed him over the edge because I think and truly believe he still had a lot of great music to make.
Oh yeah. One of the biggest cool things about when the internet came out, and it didn't happen right away, but it took a little while. Uh, Eventually, we would start hearing songs that never heard of before. That's what I was saying with my friend. And I every time, even now, like sometimes he'll find me a lost tune that he's never heard of before. It was all done by Dell, and I'd find him too, and we share, with each other, and like, oh, this is pretty cool. You
Yeah.
know, just when you think you've heard of everything, here's another stuff, some more stuff that has come up from the archive. That's just
Yeah, there's
brilliant.
as you know, I'm sure there's a recent box set which just came out, which
Yes.
has every single thing he recorded. So I suppose that's for the ultimate Del Shannon fan.
Now,
Um,
wasn't that the Bear Family record box set too, or is this more like an
I believe
expansion?
so. Yeah, I
Okay, because I
believe
know they
so.
did one too like that that
Yeah.
had most of the
So
stuff.
no, there's only one comprehensive box set. There were a million early on unauthorized Del Shannon greatest hits albums all
Uh-huh.
around the world, and that's one of the things that his uh, former manager Dan Burgoyce told me that he was able to kind of get all that stuff together and make sure that Dell was receiving the proper royalties for all of those unauthorized recordings.
Okay.
And it made a huge difference, not just in Dell's life, but in uh, uh, his co-writer, Maren McKenzie, who co-wrote a few of the hits with him.
So
So that was,
you're talking like a lot of his bootlegging stuff that they've been releasing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sure.
And I think there's still some of that out there, but I mean, there's bootleg stuff out for every artist. I mean, especially when you go on YouTube, there's all kinds of weird stuff
Oh
out
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah. It gets weirder and weirder, but that's what I love about having Spotify. Now I'm not for I'm not for them not paying the artists or whatever because they should,
Right.
but there's nothing I can do about that. I'm just a fan of music, so I appreciate the platform. So once in a while I'll dig through the archives and then listen to some Dell music or whatever because they got everything out of there too,
Yeah.
and all his later stuff and. like I used to be more of a fan of his early days stuff, but to me, it's more the later days. The Drop Down and Get Me album. That's just like almost a perfect album. It seems
Uh
like I like his outfit. The cover is pretty cool, and
huh.
because here's the thing. I mean, you think you're telling a story just with the music that you're making, but you're also telling the story with the album, the way the album cover. You have to come
Oh,
up with the
sure.
idea, and how's it going to look and everything. And I realized back in the days they were more focused on doing stuff for vinyl than they were for anything else or cassette tape or whatever. They weren't really concerned about discs, compact discs, because I think this was before the disc came out. So
Yeah.
1980, about maybe or
That
so.
sounds about right.
Yeah, he had a nice outfit on, like a sweatshirt.
Uh
You would never figured, it was like this Del Shannon. It's like, oh, what, looks kind of weird, like he's running away from something or whatever. But I liked it. I think the cover tells the story if it's going to be a good album, and regardless of
huh.
what you listen to.
Yeah.
As far as I'm
Record
concerned.
album. I should clarify it. Vinyl record album covers used to be something that while you were listening to the record, you would hold in your hand. You would read everything that was ever written on the back of the album cover, especially if it was one of the double albums or just an album cover that opened up. I mean, I can still remember truly arcane information from record albums. I mean, why do I still remember that the instrumental band, the Ventures, used Mosrite pickups on their guitars? I have no idea. Because it was on the back of one of their albums.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
like the one thing I always liked about Dell too is like when people would introduce him on shows and stuff. I've listened to a lot of his interviews and stuff, and the guy could talk. The guy could tell a story, even with his
Oh,
voice and
definitely.
everything. I mean, it's just
His
unbelievable.
his NBC interview with Bob Costas
Uh
is
huh.
really terrific for anybody who hasn't seen that. Likewise, I think it was the last print interview he gave, coincidentally, to somebody from my hometown, although I did not know her at the time, but I've kind of become friends with her since. Eden Goldstein. I believe she did one of the last print interviews with him. I
Okay.
may be, I'm sorry?
No, no, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead. I just
okay.
said okay.
So yeah, he was extremely talkative. If your viewers have never seen his performance on Letterman with Paul Schaefer and his band, that's like pretty electrifying, actually. No pun
Yeah.
intended. And of course, also on YouTube somewhere, not hard to find, is I think the entire concert he gave in Australia, which I
Yes.
think was in the last year of his life,
I think
and
so.
that's a
Yeah.
great show.
He was wearing
Um,
a nice jacket. I loved his jacket that he was wearing.
yeah, and so you really get a sense of why he was so popular even after the so-called hits weren't being played anymore. Uh, he gave a performance, and he talked to the audience, and he was glad they were there, and that everything adds up to what an artist is, and he certainly had it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing about the power of music. It's just it's exciting when of a person that is talented enough to perform it. But it's just people talk about the struggles of stardom, and we all know Dell was struggling. I
Yeah.
mean, he after Runaway kind of faded, and I don't know, maybe he was trying to do something different with his career. He kind of took a different role, like in the what was it, like the late '60s or whatever, during the hippie era. He was doing like I one of my favorite songs that he did was off the Further Adventures of Charles
Uh huh.
Westover, the song Gemini. To me, that's just like, I mean, that's like hippie, totally hippie. I
Yeah,
don't know
there
if you have to be
was.
high to listen to it or whatever, but it's a trippy song. And then
Yeah,
you would not figure he would be doing
at the
that.
time, his record company decided, and I just reread the script this morning so I could talk about it reasonably intelligently.
Sure.
The record company, as Dan told me the story, they all gave up their ties and suits and started wearing Nehru jackets, et cetera. And they, in the wake of Sergeant Pepper's, they wanted something more, quote, psychedelic. So that's when I believe that record was produced in that era. So yeah, again, there's a lot of great stuff of his that has never probably been played on most, if any, radio stations.
So
And
let's talk about that a little bit
yeah,
because I always like to bring it up to certain people that I know can give me a good answer or a good response because to me it's totally bullshit that we have to listen to the same songs over and over and over again. Would you agree? I mean, as
that
far
well,
as top
that's
40 goes.
yeah, well, if you're talking about that kind of FM radio or AM radio, but I think it's mostly FM, that's sort of just the way corporate radio is. In a way, the most interesting radio, if you're talking about traditional radio, is really on public radio. Out here, we're lucky to
Okay.
have two great stations in the LA area that are both at different colleges. One of them is KCRW, based here in Santa Monica, affiliated with Santa Monica College, 89.9. And then you've got 88.5, which is KCSN, which is affiliated with Cal State Northridge out in the north end of the San Fernando Valley. And they're the stations where you're going to hear a lot of contemporary stuff that you've never heard of before.
Okay.
So you get to exposed to new music. You get exposed to legendary music, and you get exposed to some rather offbeat stuff as well. So,
So some deep tracks or
support
whatever.
support your
Okay.
public radio stations,
Oh
and
yeah.
I don't work for either of them, but I just think it's a good idea.
But my question mostly is just on a personal level for you as a music listener. I mean, unless you like listening to top 40 all the time and you don't mind hearing the same stuff over and over again, but
No,
I can imagine that you too obviously would like to listen to something different, even in the genre that you like, even the era
oh
that you
yeah,
like.
I mean, I don't. I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't listen to top 40 radio because, and I'm talking about the FM kind of stations,
Sure.
just because I do find it repetitive. At the risk of sounding like someone who's ancient, I don't much care for a lot of pop type music. I love rock music. I love good folk artists, singer songwriters, and that's the stuff I've always been drawn to. Growing up in the New York area, once uh, progressive rock radio came into being, we had two great rock radio stations there, WNEW FM and the FM station that ABC owned at the time, which was called WPLJ. And that was kind of named after the Mothers of Invention track, what was it, White Port and Lemon Juice?
I have no
And
idea.
yeah. And WPLJ. So they had great DJs. They had great music. Clearly, those were the radio stations, especially WNEW, where I first heard Ike and Tina Turner, River Deep, Mountain High, which remains one of my favorite tracks of all time. So yeah,
Sure.
I gravitate towards hearing. Sure, do I like listening to the stuff I grew up with? Absolutely. I have over 400 CDs of that stuff. But
Did you ever invest in the Dick Clark rock and roll era set at all from Time Life?
no, I didn't. Actually, I came across two interesting sets, which are similar but better, in my humble opinion. One of them was put out by what was then called Time Life or Time,
Yeah.
affiliated with Warner Brothers Records, right? They had a whole bunch of CDs that came out, both on cassette and CD, going from the mid 1950s up to and into the late 70s, I think. And so once I heard about those, I started buying them. I didn't buy every single one, but pretty close. So I have those. And then much later, in the 80s, Warner put out something similar, but it was all brand new artists. And it came in a little digipack kind of CD container. And there was a little folded up magazine, believe it or not, that fit inside along. And so it was a collection of 14 different CD samplers with all different artists, every track. And that was like getting a subscription to a magazine in a way. One came every month or every couple of months until Warner decided to scrap the whole thing. And when I first got turned on to it, it was the end of Warner's commitment to that form of music. So and they didn't send them in order. Like I think the first one I got was actually disc number 3. And I got a couple of others, and then it ended. So I wasn't able to get them all. But thanks to the internet, I came to learn there were actually 14 of them. And I tracked down different people who were selling different groups of them or single versions of those CDs. And I now have all 14 of those.
Now, I remember, like the first actual greatest hits of Dell CD that I ever had was from Rhino Records. You remember
Sure,
Rhino Records?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, no, Rhino.
They were great.
Yeah, Rhino has done some great stuff. They did a great Roy Orbison greatest hits, and they've done lots of other stuff too.
Oh yeah, their box sets were just great. I love them.
They did a cool thing several years back here in Westwood near UCLA, where they reopened a store much like their very first store here in Los Angeles. It was just a pop-up store for a limited period of time. And they invited certain artists to come and play live in this little pop-up store. And they had, of course, lots of Rhino merchandise and records there for sale. And the performances were basically free. And it was all done to raise money, I think, for the Music Cares charity, which helps artists who need financial assistance. And so I got to see Richard Thompson in this tiny little pop-up store, and there were not more than 50 people in attendance. Similarly, I saw an artist by the name of Emmett Rhodes, who some people are familiar with and recall his first album, which was, when it first got airplay, it was mistaken as Paul McCartney's first solo album. That's how close it was to a Beatle-esque sound. It's an amazing album. And so, yeah, you get exposed to a lot of music here, a lot of things that you'd never run into in any other city. And that's one of my favorite things about it.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Well, I tell you, Gary, you've been chock full of information. I tell you, I'm glad that we got to do, or at least have a conversation at least, because, that it's always nice to talk about music, but when you get to talk about one of your idols, that's also fun.
Yeah, one of the reasons and one of my hopes for this Del Shannon project is that it will expose his music to lots of people who may have only barely heard of him or know only Runaway, if they know that. And I really think, rock biopics, music biopics have become a fairly standard genre. If you haven't seen the Bob Dylan film yet, I highly recommend it.
I'll probably wait till it comes out on demand, but I definitely plan on.
If you can go to a theater, really see it in a movie theater the way God and show business intended.
Well, I have a home theater in my house, so it's like
Yeah, well, still,
But you still
lots of
recommend a
people
theater?
do.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
telling
okay,
you, please,
all right,
please, please see it in a movie theater. It's
okay,
it's playing right now. But
yep,
anyway, I hope my script um, does a service to people who aren't aware of Dell's music, because they should be. Lots of great music, lots of great stories. One of my favorite stories, if you have a little bit more time, I can
yeah.
tell it.
Oh, absolutely.
So when I first spoke, or one of my early conversations with Dell's estate attorney, Neville Johnson, was he told me this great story, and it's in the script. Um, After Dell got clean and sober, he and his wife, Shirley, went on an AA cruise from Los Angeles to Baja California, which is just like one of these 3-day kind of cruises that people take. And this was different, obviously, because there's no booze being served on an AA cruise, as you can imagine.
Sure.
However, there was, interestingly enough, a talent show on this cruise. So, because Dell and Shirley went on as under their real names, well, under his real name, Mr. and Mrs. Charles Westover,
Uh-huh.
no one knew who he was. He was not wearing his hairpiece when he went on the cruise. And so they go on the cruise, they discover there's a talent show. They enter the talent show. And Charles Dell was a big fan of Hank Williams for most of his life. He decides to perform a Hank Williams song for his talent show appearance. And it comes down to 3 finalists. Dell is one of them, or I should say Charles is one of them. And it turns out that there's a woman and a guy who are the other 2 in that group of 3, and the other guy actually comes in first, and Dell comes in second, which actually made him thrilled that no one knew who he was. Charles Westover comes in second, gets a little like plastic gold trophy, and as they're leaving the stage, the MC of the talent show calls him over for a private conversation and says, "Have you ever considered doing this professionally?" So
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
it. That's in the script, and that's the story that Neville was kind enough to share with me. And then when I finished the screenplay, Neville was actually the first person I contacted to let him know, to reassure him in a way that I wasn't just a voice on the phone that he had talked to previously. And I told him, he picks up the phone and he barely says hello. And he goes, I told him that I'd finished the script and I wanted him to be the first person to read it. And
Yeah.
he goes, did you put in that story I told you about the AA cruise? And I said, absolutely. And he goes, send me the script. So, so that's in the screenplay, and I think would be a very funny moment, obviously, in the film.
So are we trying to make like a documentary, or are we actually trying to
No,
make an
no,
actual
this is
movie
not
movie?
a documentary. This is for lack of a better phrase, it's a biopic
Okay. And
about Dell.
do you have any idea who you think would play Dell? I mean, like with today's Hollywood.
I don't have any casting suggestions.
Okay.
I'm certainly open to that. Um, we did have a director briefly attached to the project, but it turns out he wasn't, as much as he loved the script, unfortunately, he was not someone who could actually get it off the ground.
Okay.
So we've moved on, and uh, no, it would have to be someone probably in their mid 30s so that they can play him as a younger guy and also play him as an older individual.
Okay. because there's a lot of young talent out there too.
Oh, there's a lot of
That's
great
just like.
actors who could play
But
him. Yeah,
I'm kind of figuring that out too. Like who would be the perfect person because you want them
yeah.
to kind of look like Dell. You kind of want can't just pick
Well,
anybody.
that's kind of the tricky part. It's more important that you get a great actor, whether they are a known, or, for example, or known or unknown. For example, when Gary Busey did the Buddy Holly
Oh
story,
yeah,
most people did not know who Gary Busey was. When Lou Diamond Phillips did
the Bumba.
the Richie Valens story, La
Yeah,
Bamba, most people did not know who Lou Diamond Phillips was.
sure.
Um, Joaquin Phoenix was a more known quantity when he did Walk the Line for the director of the Bob Dylan film, James Mangold. But again, I bet a lot of people did not know who Joaquin Phoenix was. I think he'd been in some indie films, if I remember correctly.
Sure.
So he may not have been known that well to the
And
general public.
now he's known as the Joker or one of the
So to
Jokers,
me,
right?
yeah, this is before the Joker,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
So to me, it's more important to get a terrific actor, and finding someone who looks like Del Shannon would be tricky at best. In real life, Del was about 5 feet 7 inches tall, and are you going to find an actor who looks like Dell? Probably not. But are you going to find an actor who can play Dell? That's a much better bet. And
Well, I mean, I could have make a suggestion for you that
you
maybe.
can make any suggestions you want. Your viewers and listeners can make any suggestions they want.
No. But like, if somebody that's okay. Now, I don't know how good of an actor he would be because I don't think he has any acting experience. But his grandson Austin Westover, which is
Ah,
Craig's son, looks
okay.
exactly like Dell.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I know the guy. I mean, the kid.
Okay.
I talk to him sometimes on Facebook, and
Yeah,
he's almost a spitting image.
if he's not an actor, people who are financing the film might balk at whoever it
Well,
is.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's the closest that I can think of, that would actually
Yeah.
look like him.
And another great example is most people didn't know who Austin Butler was before
Oh
he
yeah,
played Elvis, and
sure, yeah.
he did a phenomenal job. Now, Taron Egerton, who played Elton John in Rocket Man, did a great job, but I think they made the incorrect decision and he was a singer too, to use Taron's voice. I think he should have really, we all know Elton John's music, right?
Yeah.
Just like
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of us know Dell's music. So
sure.
I think it's better to have the artist, for the most part, lip sync the original artist's voice or songs than it is to have his voice be present, because we know that music backwards and forwards.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But
And that,
if I'll look at Austin, or I may hear from Craig. So
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Well, I don't know his acting ability. I just know
Yeah.
that he looks exactly like his grandfather.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's a
Yeah. Well,
spitting image, pretty much.
when we had, as I mentioned, when we had the table read of the script a while back, none of the actors were necessarily known to the general public, but they did a terrific job in bringing life to my script. And it was great to sit in a conference room with this group of actors and hear your words read aloud.
Oh
So
yeah.
I give kudos to all those people. They know I thank them copiously afterwards. And yeah, we just keep our fingers crossed that this will get off the ground soon.
Yeah, because that would be great because we need something like this. I mean, more biopics, more good films that make you that bring a tear to your eye, because there's a lot of crap out there, and see, I'm a movie guy. I'm a physical media collector. I don't
Yep.
mind streaming here and there, but I like to collect because you own when you
Yeah.
collect, you own everything rather than
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
streaming. So
Yeah.
I feel as a
The
film
amazing,
lover, yeah,
I'll say one last thing. The amazing thing isn't how many bad movies may be out there, or bad music, or bad books, or whatever you want to, whatever thing anything in popular culture. That's not amazing. What's amazing is that any good things make it through the process.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with me there, Gary. And for anybody that wants to know more about you and about your screenplay, how can they do so?
Well, if it's someone professional, they can contact you, certainly. I don't want to give out my personal information here.
Oh, no. That's fine. I'm just saying like your website or whatever, social media.
Yeah, the webpage is mostly for professional contacts. Yeah. So if someone out there needs more information, if they can contact you and you can let me know, that would be appreciated.
Oh, absolutely.
And I appreciate the time you gave me today, and look forward to more of your shows.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, welcome to the Renegade Radio family. I mean, this was an honor to. I learned more about you, and we learned about Dell, and told me some stuff I didn't know. So that's great. I mean, mission accomplished.
Excellent.
So here's to Dell, and a happy birthday, and have a happy New Year, my friend.
Yes, you too, Frankie, and to all your viewers and listeners, have a great 2025.
And we'll see you next week for season 4, the season 4 premiere of Renegade Radio, live next Monday. All right, we'll see you later, Gary. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
You don't get this stuff from Howard Stern Show. You don't get this stuff from anything but Renegade Radio.
It's the Red River Valley Motorcyclist Spirit of America Bike and Car Show, Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th at the Alaris Center in Grand Forks. Tickets are just $10. Kids 12 and under are free with a paying adult, and veterans are free. If you want to get your car or bike or whatever into the show, call Scott at 406-899-5247 or Timothy at 701-739-1605. Our friends from the north, we're talking about you too. This is going to be an awesome show with over $90,000 worth of prizes. The Red River Valley Motorcyclist Spirit of America Bike and Car Show, Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th at the Alaris Center in Grand Forks.
Need a tow? Then call John Lutz Towing Service. 3 radio dispatch trucks, including a unique flatbed to pick up low-profile vehicles. And a road service truck for flat tires, dead battery, out of gas, will be there in a flash if you're stranded. John Lutz specializes in custom towing, low-profile cars, and long-distance towing. Fully insured, low rates, damage-free towing. Call John Lutz Towing Service. We don't want an arm and a leg, just your tow.
Life's a crazy dream. Wayne to God, they scream and scheme. It's a Wayne's World, party time. Excellent, it's Wayne's World, alright. It's a Wayne's World, party time. Excellent, it's Wayne's World, alright. Guitar riffs and wild spins in the basement haze, rocking out every night, setting the stage ablaze. Excellent, it's the Wayne's World, all that time. Excellent, it's Wayne's World, all right. Color splash, it's all surreal. In a world where the music's a seal. Move on hard, no backing down. In Wayne's World, we wear the crown. It's a Wayne's World party time. Excellent, excellent. It's Wayne's World, all right. Stone guitars, electric tones. In the basement, it's our throne. Jamming wild, breaking free. In Wayne's World, we live the spree. It's the Wayne's World party time. Excellent, excellent, it's Wayne's World, all right. Purple haze and fiery riffs. On the stage, we catch the drift. Explosions of light, colors bright. In Wayne's World, we take the flight. It's the Wayne's World party time. Excellent, excellent. It's Wayne's World, all right.
It's the Red River Valley Motorcyclist Spirit of America Bike and Car Show, Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th at the Alara Center in Grand Forks, and they're looking for sponsors and vendors. This is a great opportunity to get your business noticed by thousands of people for this 2 long days of this awesome event. If you'd like to get your business noticed, or if you'd like a booth, contact Sarah, 763-568-1946, or Dennis at 701-741-5205. There'll be a raffle with over $90,000 worth of prizes, including a Polaris 1000 North Star Ultimate Crew Cab Ranger, a Harley-Davidson Street Glide, and Polaris Sportsman 570, with the net proceeds benefiting the Veterans Honor Flight of North Dakota, Minnesota. And veterans are absolutely free. Find out more by going to rrvmnd.org. Red River Valley Motorcyclist Spirit of America Bike and Car Show, Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th at the Alara Center in Grand Forks.
And we're on. How's it going there, Michael? I'm sorry.
Hey, Rock. How are you?
Sorry for all the advertisements and everything, but I was waiting, I run a couple ads and whatever, and play a couple original AI songs that I created. So just to warm up the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, that's great, man. Good to see you.
I
think this first time we've ever connected. I think.
Yeah, I've never in the long history of me doing interviews since 2006, I've never interviewed you before, ever. This is all thanks to Jacob, so this is all his masterpiece.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate having you on the show because this is actually going to be pretty fun. Jacob said some good things about you, and he told me a little bit about you, about what you do or what you have done. I found out you're from Minnesota, so you're a fellow Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. Does the show take place in Minnesota?
Yeah, northern Minnesota. So
wow.
Like upper north, like close to Canada. So when you heard that advertisement for the event in Grand Forks, I'm only about 45 minutes from Grand Forks.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I'm excited to have you on just because we like talking to actors and legendary people like yourself, and just how you been there, my friend?
Pretty good. It's been an interesting journey from my time on Guiding Light, playing a really sort of nice guy, Greg Brady, all-American guy, and now I'm playing racist, misogynist, awful old white guys.
Oh, wow!
It's a lot of fun, but it's a bit. People are not used to seeing me play these kind of horrible characters. So, but it's been a nice change. I did a show called Terror Lake Drive. Played played Charles Marshall in that, a racist real estate developer. And then on Halloween Ends, I play Dr. Mathis, a sort of misogynist, sexist guy that hits on young nurses.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is something that you may or may not know. An old horror movie of mine, Fatal Games, has been re-released on Blu-ray, and it's become this huge cult classic specifically over in Europe, which is kind of interesting because the movie never saw the light of day, and now I think Vinegar Syndrome, a British company, is reconfigured in Blu-ray, and now it's they're selling like hotcakes. So
Oh, that's good. That's good because people should buy physical media. So that's awesome to hear.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of physical media because I collect. I have a huge ass collection because I digitally stream too, here and there. But I'm definitely a fan of physical media because I feel like everything that an actor or actress does is art, and people like to collect art on the walls, right? Well, or hang them on the wall or whatever. Well, physical media is like art as well. It's somebody's work that they put their heart and soul into. Why not
yeah.
buy a copy and show appreciation? So that's good for the UK. The UK is known for making a lot of things. People that were singers that weren't probably as popular in the US made them more popular in the UK. Same with films. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear.
It's I didn't consciously go in the business thinking about getting into the horror genre, and I'm coming late to it, just kind of understanding it, and I'm really kind of getting the attraction to it. I mean, just the cover for the movie Fatal Games, the artwork on it is incredible, and
Yes.
it's very retro, and it's befitting of what the movie was all about. So I'm understanding this fascination with this genre and how much people appreciate it.
Oh yeah, the horror genre is also. I mean, you talk about that, man. I mean, I'm sure maybe going into the Halloween series, maybe you knew what you were getting yourself into. Maybe you didn't. I really don't know because I can't speak for you, but I feel like you made a good choice because the horror people appreciate it. Even doesn't matter if it's UK or America. The horror genre, as I found out in the last 20 or 25 years, is one of the most popular genres in film. Believe it or not.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, I wasn't all that familiar with the Halloween franchise, and so when I got cast in the movie, I watched the last two of them and got a chance to appreciate just the awesome craft that went into these movies, and to work with David Gordon Green was a real blessing, and Michelle Dawson, who played the nurse, and so forth. It was the best experience professionally that I've ever had.
Yeah, they seem to really put a lot of love and care into all three of the films because I have them all on 4K, and I yeah, I mean that's the way it should be. It doesn't. I know Hollywood tries to always do a corporate spin all the time to make things more fancy than they need to be, but I feel the Halloween series was one of those type of series where it mandated Hollywood's love a little bit, but I feel like because of the fan base and because of the people that were in the films before, like I have, believe it or not, on my actual show Renegade Radio that I do on Monday nights. This is just a special exclusive because I do some exclusives sometimes. But like on the actual show, I actually am friends with Lance Warlock, who, if you know, his father played Dick Warlock played Michael Myers in Halloween 2, and he was a body double for Kurt Russell for a lot of Kurt's earlier films or
Right.
whatever, to like probably the early '90s or early
Yeah.
2000s or whatever. So anyway, it's a popular genre. It didn't really need Hollywood's touch, but I'm kind of glad that they brought it back and told a real story, a really good story. I don't know if it needed 3 films, but I think maybe it did, because it's popular.
Yeah, I've been killed with a javelin. I've been gouged with a corkscrew in my neck. I've been stabbed in the chest
Ugh.
with a butcher knife. I've been stabbed in the back with a butcher knife. I've been shot in the chest. Um, there's a I'm starting to see a trend here, Rocco, of that I'm being brutally murdered. Virtually everything that I've been doing, which is, somebody's got to die. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, you're still alive to tell the story. That's kind of amazing, huh?
yeah, yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. It's
the,
crazy.
the real magic of Hollywood, anyway. So let's get to know you there, Mike. Really
Sure.
get to know you. Because I always like to ask people, about their lives and stuff because it's
Yeah.
important. I mean, everybody has a story, and here on Renegade Radio, we like to tell people stories, and you seem like somebody who more people should know about because I feel like I never you never hear about you in the tabloids or anything like that. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, but
Yeah.
we
Well,
want to know about you a little bit.
sure. I can lead with this, and it's the most important thing in my life. God God willing, and on June 13th of this year, I'll be sober 13 years.
Well,
So
congratulations.
recovery and sobriety is a big part of my life, um, and everything that good has happened to me is because a result of my sobriety. So that's a little tidbit that people I think I love to share with people. The other thing is I'm a father of two grown adult. They're adults now. Katie and Caroline. My eldest daughter just got married in July in Canada, and my youngest daughter Caroline is 26, 27,
Okay,
27 now.
sure.
So, and then I'm engaged to be married to a lovely woman, Christina Ferrigno, and so a lot of good things have happened to me. I'm also a playwright. I've written a play called Breathing Under Dirt, which was showcased in Macon, Georgia, about a year ago, and we had full theaters all 3 nights. It was a stage reading. Larry Moss, for people that are connected to the theater, would recognize him. He's my director and dramaturg, and so actually we're looking for a theater in Minneapolis, specifically the Guthrie, to have my play staged there, which
Well,
which
that'd be
which
it makes sense because since you're from born there. I mean, that'd
well,
be like full circle for you.
yeah. So if you know anybody at the Guthrie, let me know. We're trying to find an entree into that, but I've been developing that play for a few years. It won Best One Act at the Manhattan Repertory, and now it's a full length play. And the plays about two young women, one a black woman and a white woman in 1954 in Macon, Georgia. And the black woman's sort of like a Billie Holiday type. She's very close to going to the Apollo. Macon, Georgia was considered the little Apollo back in the day. And they meet this white woman who's a school teacher. And they're both, the one thing they have in common is alcohol. And it's
Yeah.
about how people find themselves with the drink. And the play is really about how these two women's lives change as a result of their alcoholism. So I've had some amazing actresses. Cynthia Watros, who you might be familiar with, played Patience a long time ago, as did Beth Chamberlain. And I think you used to watch The Guiding Light?
A little bit. See, I'm 41 years
Oh,
old, so
okay.
my
That was
folks, my
canceled back
folks.
in 2000. Yeah, that was
Oh
canceled
yeah,
back in 2009.
my okay. Well, my folks and my grandparents, they always love. I mean, they continue usually to watch Days of Our Lives and everything like
Right.
that. But yeah, they watch the soaps. I never really watch soaps. I feel like right now life is too dramatic for me sometimes. So it's just like a soap.
I hear
You
you.
know what I mean?
I hear you.
Yeah.
So that play's been something that I've been very involved in. Just recently, I did a short movie with Victor Slazak. Chris Goutman was a director, and it's winning awards. It won the Canadian Excellence Award, and it's going to the LA Film Festival shortly. I'm very proud of that movie. And I did another movie just recently that I had to sign a non-disclosure, so I can't talk about that yet. But so yeah, so I've been busy, kind of, off the radar a little bit, since Guiding Light got canceled, and so I've been doing a recurring role on Law and Order, Organized Crime, and just working when the work comes, and if I'm not working, I'm busy working on writing something.
That's good. That's good. I was looking at your body of work here. I mean, as far as not trying to cheat or anything like that, but just to kind of let people know who are the audience tonight that's watching. I mean, you were even on Chips. I mean, that's I like Chips, and I liked. Let's see what we got. Doogie Howser, you did some stuff on there. You did. Like you talking about Law and Order. Yeah, I watched Law and Order before. That's a pretty good show. They really know how to get you interested. That's for sure.
It's formulaic and it works. Dick Wolf's a genius. He's a genius, and he's got a system with it, and people love it. And I worked with Chris Maloney on that, and he's just a real gentleman, a class act guy. And so, it's, and I'll circle back, Rocco, to my sobriety thing. Is just all of this. Believe me, I was 12, 13 years ago. I was a hot mess, and
Sure.
And it all sort of crumbled. But if I were to kind of just convey a message in our short time together, is that if you're struggling with this, you don't have to feel this way anymore, and you can get help, because it's so much of our country is afflicted with addiction, and I'm sure somebody who's struggling with it, and so
I know a lot of people.
It's a disease of isolation, and so the enemy of addiction is connectivity, and so. Thankfully, I went through enough pain that I got it, and so it's the number one priority in my life right now.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Because that's good that you've been fighting the demon, because I'm somebody, and here's the thing, man. I'm not against anybody that does it. It's your free choice or whatever. I've never drank. I've never had a drop. I'm too afraid to try, because I feel like I'm a good guy. People like me or whatever. I don't want to find out I'm an asshole. You know what I mean? Or find out that I'm like, if I take a drop, I'm going to enjoy it too much, and that's going to be my new life. So good job on trying to, stop, the evilness of alcohol, and actually continue to live your life, and fight the good fight and everything. Because man, it's hurt so many people. It's can't even tell you.
It's it's not just your individual journey, but it's the people around you that you love and care about are affected by it too, and it creates a lot of trauma and so forth. But here's the good news: is that it doesn't have to be your life a journey. You can heal from it. Your family members can heal from it, and so I mean I wouldn't be sitting here in my new apartment and engaged to be married, and with a decent career going if I was drinking. It just wouldn't happen, and so.
Now, are you in a new apartment out in California, or are you somewhere?
No, my fiance and I found a place here in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
We're still technically in New Jersey, but we're transitioning out here, and we came out here back in August, and my representatives told me that it's like a small Charleston, and it is. It's got a nice sort of relaxed urban feel, but it's got a lot of arts and good restaurants. And then, you got the beautiful beaches that are just 20, 30 minutes away. So we decided to.
Were you affected by the hurricanes at all last year?
No, I wasn't here for that.
Okay.
I understand. The hurricanes that happened last year went through Asheville, which is on the other side of the state.
Okay.
That
Never been to North Carolina before, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's that's the thing because I thought a lot of Jacob's guys live in California because with the whole fire thing. I'm sure you had people that you knew that were affected by it.
Oh, sure. I had friends in Santa Monica that had to evacuate. My nephew had to evacuate their home in Pasadena. So many people have been affected by it, and it's I lived in California for most of my life in Diamond Bar, which is we had to deal. I can't tell how many times we used to wet the shingles down because we thought the fire was going to take our house. So I have. It's very sad what's going on there, and my hearts and thoughts, my prayers go out to the people that have been affected by it.
Yeah. Well, it's a terrible thing, but it's like I guess the positive is that you see people come together, but it shouldn't always be like because of a natural disaster or something. People should just come together because that's what humans should do, regardless of what happened. If there's something negative or positive going in your life, you should just want to help people. It seems like that's the only way people get together is over something serious. I don't know. It's weird, I guess, sometimes.
But you're onto something there because I think a lot of people's lives are, if it's not directly affecting them, they seem to have a distance from it. Like when the hurricanes came through New Orleans, we were up in New York and we just really didn't have much of a sense of it. And back in the day, our producer took us down there to work on building houses. And when we went down there, it was like a nuclear bomb had dropped there. And I think for me, it put me in a place of like, investigate and don't be so, just because it's not happening to you or in your environment, you need to be connected to other people's suffering. And so that was one of the things of my tenure in Guiding Light that our producer, Ellen Wheeler, took the whole cast went down there and we worked on building homes for, I think, a week and a half, something like that.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you kind of have that Jimmy Carter spirit in you a little bit, habits for humanity, kind of like houses for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And I don't try to get too political, even on my actual show. It's just that, it's nice to see people doing nice things sometimes, regardless, And I think Jimmy Carter was one of those guys that really he cared about people, regardless of his political ways or whatever, he cared about people. He didn't want to see anybody homeless at all.
He was the epitome of humanity and of goodwill. And even though he passed at 100, that's a good life. But I was sad. I was sad to see him go.
Yeah,
he was a very sweet man who did a lot of important things and to make people's lives better. Habitat Humanity's just one of the examples of the things that he did.
I remember watching an episode of Home Improvement and he was a guest star on there. I think they were promoting the Habitats for Humanity, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. To get it on TV like a pop-up show like Home Improvement today.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. So what have you been up to, like currently, other than just writing and stuff? What do you do for fun, just to get your mind off things or whatever?
I missed the first part of your question there, Rocco.
Well, it's Frankie, actually. I don't know who Rocco is, but you call me Rocco. I didn't say nothing because I thought, maybe that's somebody that you know or something. But it's Frankie. I don't know. I have a name on the deal there. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Okay, yeah.
That's okay. It's okay. Hey, it's okay. You can call me whatever you want.
So I spent the last 20 minutes calling you the wrong name. That's not a good thing.
Well, I didn't know who you were talking to at first, but then I thought, maybe he's actually calling me that, But it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Whatever. My question was, like, what do you do in your leisure time? Like, when you're not writing, when you're not thinking about acting? I mean, are you a movie guy? Are you somebody who likes to go outside, go for walks?
I'm a fervent movie guy. So I belong to the AMC Film Club, which allows you to go to 3 movies a week. So I'm constantly seeing movies. I enjoy, I was at a point not too long ago where I weighed 265 pounds. And so I've gotten to a fitness program where I've lost, I don't know, like 40 pounds. And so I'm into fitness and trying to live a healthier life. And I love to, I like everybody else, I love to travel. Since I'm from California originally, I'd like just going in my car. I love, being in the car is very zen for me for some reason. So just going to different places, weekend stuff. I love riding a bike. I love basketball. I love all sports, boxing, a big boxing fan.
You looking forward to the Super Bowl then this coming weekend?
It's interesting you asked that. I'm a perennial Vikings fan since I was a kid because I'm from Minnesota. So just stick a knife, a butter knife in my eye because they just seem to find different ways of breaking my heart. Of all things, I'm all things Minnesota Vikings. Ever since I was old enough to walk, I had a Vikings helmet on.
Sure.
I've seen them lose so many times, and there's a web series. So can we win a Super Bowl? It's called Purple Daily. I'm promoting Purple Daily because it's my favorite web series, besides yours, of course. And so I'm a big, huge football fan. But in regards to your original question, this is the first Super Bowl I'm just not interested in because I don't like Kansas City Chiefs and I don't like the Philadelphia Eagles. I really don't like the Kansas City Chiefs. So if I have a horse in the race, it'd be the Eagles. But this is the first Super Bowl. I just don't care because it's like the Chiefs win every year. And quite frankly, I think there's been stuff going on with the referee stuff that I think a lot of people feel like, particularly the Bills didn't get a fair shake. And so,
I mean, we were hoping for at least a Bills Washington Commander game. That would have been all right.
I was really pulling for the Bills because the Bills and the Vikings are the only 2 teams that I think lost 4 Super Bowls. But to show you what a magnanimous guy that I am, even though I'm a Viking fan, I wanted the Bills to win a Super Bowl, and that would leave us, the Vikings, the only team since the league started that didn't win a championship. So,
I always kind of wonder. Now, I'm not a huge football fan. I'm more of a pro wrestling fan, as I take it. But even I wonder, why is it that no matter who we have on, it's like even we've had Brett Favre on, and we thought that would be the secret, but yet.
Yeah. I just, I gathered false hope with this team a little bit too, but I saw that, good teams in the playoffs expose weaknesses, and then we got exposed. Our interior line is not that strong on the offensive line, and they just blitzed Sam Darnold to, every team. So, Detroit did it. And then we lost to the Rams, I think, in the playoffs there too, and they just blitzed them every single time, and we had no answer for it. So,
I feel like the Rams lost. Well, I feel like the Rams lost probably had to do with the fires, because they wanted to promote the Los Angeles as the heroes. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I yell and scream. I'm like any crazy fan, but after it's over, it's just, I don't know. It's just like fairy dust. I'm done, and I don't carry it with me. It's just kind of is what it is,
Sure. No. That's okay, because that's what's nice about when it comes to sports. I mean, you see all these people that are crazy fans that are just like that dress apart, that don't care what the weather's like. It can be extremely hot. It can be extremely cold, and they just don't care. It's like they're gonna dress in war paint and everything else, and so I love to ask an aggressive fan these questions like that because it's like, do you really get, because there's some people that take it too seriously. They take a loss like, like, oh, this is like the end of the world, almost like. So.
Yeah, I don't get, it's weird. I just don't get attached, maybe because when you get older, you just don't get attached to things, or outcomes or things like that. It's sort of like it's supposed to be what exactly it was supposed to be, and you just kind of, move on from it.
Sure. Yeah, that's what you got to do. I mean, that's it's just you gotta be an adult about it. That not even if you don't want to be. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean,
exactly.
But that's what I feel about wrestling. Like we just had the Royal Rumble here this past Saturday on Peacock and everything. I was out in Indianapolis, and well, I was happy with some of the results. I mean, in the past, they kind of given us stuff that we never asked for as fans. Like they just bring in somebody who hasn't been wrestling for so long. When you got all these talented individuals who've been going up and down the road who deserve a push, and yet we're going to push somebody who hasn't been here for like 3 years or whatever and let them win. So I don't. Right. Yeah, it's just like that. It's just like that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to getting recognized, I mean, are you somebody who is pretty recognizable, like in your community?
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of
places.
I have a lot of embarrassing experiences. I'll share one with you. I was at the grocery store not too long ago, and this woman looked at me, and she's smiling at me, and she's like, I know who you are, and that kind of thing. And so she said, right at the cash register, there's people behind. She goes, "Could I have your autograph?" And I said, "Well, sure." And I said, "What's your name?" She says, "Kathy." I write Kathy on there, and best wishes, all that. And she goes, I love you. I've loved you and everything that you've ever done. I said, "Well, what have you loved me the most?" And she said, "Goodfellas." And I thought, "Goodfellas?" I said, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "Well, you're Ray Liotta, right?" And I go, "No, I'm not Ray Liotta. I'm Michael Leary." She goes, "It's the best part, Frankie." She goes, "Who's that?" And I go, "Well, it's Michael Leary. I was on a soap opera called The Guiding Light." She goes, "The Guiding Light? What's that? Some Sunday religious show?" And I said, "No, it's a soap opera." She goes, "Oh, this is the best part. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody." And she had my autograph in her hand, and she dropped it on the ground like it was a piece of trash. And being a good environmentalist as I am, I made sure to pick that up and dispose it in the receptacle. So, yeah, I get Ray Liotta, and Ray Liotta's not with us anymore.
That's right. Yeah, was he passed when this happened, or do you remember?
This was prior to him passing, actually.
Okay.
So I'm going to give
I can see a little bit of a resemblance to that, but I wasn't going to say anything about it because it's like, because some people look like some people. So
I get Ray Liotta. I get Ray Liotta all the time. And then there's somebody else, another actor. Who's the guy with the cooking show?
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, I get that guy sometimes.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
So
you should go with that. And then
I don't get people recognize me from the soap opera anymore, because on the soap opera I had dark hair, and now it's silver.
You should go with the whole Gordon Ramsay thing, because here's the thing, even though you're probably not an angry person, if somebody doesn't recognize it, you can go off on them, and just be like, "You bloody bastard, you don't know who I am."
Well, I'll tell you I tell you a real quick story. When I got I was an inpatient. And so I get out of inpatient, and I'm sober, newly sober, and I'm selling cars. And this black woman, I'm trying to sell her a car, and I can tell she's recognizing me, and all I want to do is sell a car. I just desperately need some money. And she's there with her husband. And she says, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" And I said, "No, you don't. No." She goes, I know you from somewhere." And I said, "No, I know you got me mixed up with somebody else." She goes, "Didn't you play Dr. Rick Bauer on The Guiding Light?" And I said, "Key here, Dr. Rick Bauer." And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Dr. Rick Bauer is selling cars? Rick, you're a doctor. You used to be somebody. What the hell you selling cars for?" And she and her husband left. I was that close to selling the car. And she thought I was a friggin' doctor. What are you, Rick? What are you doing selling cars? So, I don't know. I think the guy upstairs was trying to put a little humility in my back pocket so I could sort of, just kind of stay in the middle of the boat.
Yeah.
Because, here's the thing, Frankie. All of the celebrity and persona and all of that stuff, it's a little bit of a fugazi, because you have it and then you don't have it, and then unless you kind of figure out who you are and what your place is, then you're in big trouble. You can't hold on to it too tightly.
Sure. No, I understand. I get that, because it's like, even in my area, while I'm not really, known as, I don't have a big enough, I have a little presence a little bit because of what I do, but
Yeah.
like online, I feel like I have adapted a lot more. I have a lot more online presence than I do real life presence. And sometimes somebody will come up and say, hey, and they come and say, we like the show and everything, but it's not like, I never get like switched around for somebody or whatever. That's never happened at all. But I get you though. I mean, I totally understand. Well, my problem is, one of those people that get popular for things that they don't even understand why they're that popular. They don't care. I hate when actors and actresses and people of higher celebrity or whatever don't care about their fans or the people that help make them a star.
Well, the people who watch Guiding Light, we had 8 to 10 million people watching our show, and you're in their living rooms every single day, and so it's a very fervent fan base. You're part of their family. They treat you like that. It's unlike anything else I've ever done, because I was on the show for 25 years, and they. I think I was on the show for 6 weeks, and Krista Tesreau and I went to a place called it was in Defiance, Ohio, at a shopping mall. And there was 10,000 people that showed up there. And I was only on the show for 30 days. And it was at that moment I realized the impact that these stories and soap operas had.
Sure.
And because it's a very insulated type thing, Frankie, because you're working 4 or 5 days a week. It's kind of like working in a factory, and then you just go home and you're sort of insulated as to what the impact it has to the audience until you go out in public, or you go to a shopping mall or something like that. But Guiding Light had the most spectacular. We still have the most spectacular fan base. The show was canceled in August of 2009. It's been 14, 15 years later, and they still, they show up for my plays. They're always there to support the projects that the actors on Guiding Light are involved in. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Wow, well, I mean, you must have been a show that really, really impacted people, because I feel like that's what soaps are. That's I think why a lot of you see a lot of older people, and I'm pretty sure you're. I mean, maybe nowadays a lot more young people get into it now, but I'm pretty sure back in those days, did you encounter a lot more older people more than younger people compared to now?
Well, if I had a nickel for every time somebody said my grandmother got me started on it, and that's very generational. It's the grandmothers told the mothers, and yeah, we did have a male audience, but it was the grandmothers who passed it on to the daughters, who passed it on to their daughters. It was a generational thing, and I think with soap operas, it just started to fade because of, the it was so female centric that when women started, getting more involved in the workplace, then our audience started to diminish. And plus it's on TV and nobody sort of gets it. Well, I don't know. It's a less part of the population that gets in front of the TV at 3:00 or 2:00 in the afternoon to watch a soap opera.
Yeah, because nowadays, I think even what Days of Our Lives does now is they have it on Peacock. It's not even on NBC anymore, like on TV, so you can watch it on demand whenever you want, So that's different. I wonder what all the old grandmothers all that would have thought about today's world when it comes to the way TV is now. It's changed so much,
Right.
It's just, I love it. Like I said earlier about streaming and everything, but my love has always been physical media. I've always loved collecting. You as an actor, do you have a little physical media collection as well of things, or is that not really important to you at all?
I'm sorry. Can we repeat the question again, Freddie?
Well, like physical media. What I mean, like movies, or like you go to a store and you buy like a Blu-ray or a 4K of something, or DVD, or do you collect things like that? Or
I don't collect.
Okay.
But I'm a voracious consumer of film and TV, and I love content. I love good stories. Breaking Bad and Ozark and, all of these extraordinary stories that have been streaming is really incredible. How good these shows are and how good the writing is, how good the acting is. So I would argue that part of the descent in network television is that everybody who is doing some very exciting projects are going to streaming now.
Oh, absolutely. And nothing, like I said before, nothing against streaming, because that is the future. There's no way around it. I mean, it's funny, you hear the story about like how Blockbuster was going to buy Netflix originally, and they thought it was a joke at first, so they didn't do it. And then now look what happened.
Right.
Netflix kind of took over, and even back in the day when they offered streaming for the very first time, nobody knew how big it was going to be, because I remember back in the day when you first started watching streaming, the quality was not so good. And I was just like, well, why do people want to watch something so blurry, so pixelated? But then eventually it got better and better and better. And now it's like, 4K streams. But the thing about it, that I'll even let you know, that if you don't know, if nobody's ever told you, which I'm surprised if nobody has told you, but as a physical media guy that I am anyway, and as most people like to do sometimes, you're going to get better quality off a disc than you would off the digital stream. If that even matters to you at all.
Sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it has to do with like bit rates and stuff like that, and color. And so if you have a really nice display, like my biggest thing right now is the mini LED TV. To me, if you have a mini LED TV and you care about quality, you are going to get the best quality of color and picture with Dolby Vision. That really helps, more than the HDR does. And I'm talking about even like your film Fatal, games or whatnot. Your movie you're talking about, from 1984. Even a remastered version of that probably would look like a very cleaned up, very well preserved film, on something like that. So that's what I always tell people about, because it's like that's the future right there, And
it's just amazing how they can restore these movies and bring kind of a glossy shine to them, for lack of a better way of saying it. It's and what they did, and how they restored this movie I did back in 1981, I think. It looks incredible.
Yeah, it was 84 that this came out, and that's just the thing too. Like, you remember how VHSs used to look, all jaded and jumpy and everything, and it was but we accepted that because that was just what was available. But now with DVD and Blu-ray and 4K, everything just looks, if it's done right, it can look to be the best of its ability, better than it did back when even when you were there making the film.
Right. That's
Well,
a
I
whole,
tell you, yeah. Go ahead there. Go ahead.
no, that's a whole other story making that film. That's for another day.
Yeah.
That was incredibly, I just never knew what was going to happen each day. That was quite a ride.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing about it. That you learned a lot from that experience, and then it kind of helped you grow into a better actor as time moved on. Because did you ever think that you were going to have a big career in the acting world, or did you not know?
Boy, Frank, that's a good question. I just knew what I wanted to do, and as far as projecting as to what kind of career I was going to have or not have, that just never entered my mind. I mean, when I was lucky to work with Stella Adler when she was still alive, and with Larry Moss, and I just met two wonderful acting teachers that really inspired me. I said, oh gosh, okay, now I'm not going to be a weatherman. I'm not going to be a chiropractor. I'm not going to do physical therapy. I'm going to be an actor. I go, this is what I want to do. And so, I made that decision when I was around 21, something like that, or 19 or 20. And I was just kind of, I was doing it just for fun, just to make some money. And then all of a sudden I realized, the craft part of this and got very excited about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're excited that I got to have a chance to speak with you because I like interviews like this that are just simple, that aren't too flashy and whatever. That just somebody tell me their story and learning about you, because now I want to go back. I want to go watch Fatal Games now. I want to see what it's all about, because you got me interested. I've never seen it before. Of all the films that I've seen, I've never seen it before.
Let me just put it this way. What was on the page in the script and what I end up doing the first day was a shock to me, and that's the tease. So if you watch the first 10 minutes of this movie, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'll give it a watch, because I think it's just one of those undiscovered gems. I feel like maybe a lot of people know about it, that are extreme horror fans or whatever, but this is the first that I've heard about somebody talk about it. So yeah.
Well, cool. Sally Kirkland is in it. She was nominated for an Oscar a couple of years later, and she plays the antagonist in this. So basically, the construct of the movie, I'll just summarize it really quickly. It's about a woman who was a man who became a woman and had her gold medal taken away. And they found out about it's the transgender thing. And this is proceeding way before all of this happened. So it's controversial in that aspect of it. And so she comes to Olympic Village and she kills all the athletes with a javelin. So there you have it. There you have it.
I would assume it would have like a sleepaway camp vibe to it or something, but maybe not. Maybe this is a little bit different than sleepaway camp.
Yeah, this wasn't sleep. This is brutal savagery, and it was the beginning of many of my my film deaths. That, I mean, ironically, Guiding Light was the only thing I think I've done where I wasn't brutally murdered. So it's interesting. I'm sort of discovering these things as I'm talking to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what's nice about reflecting on a person's career, because I don't know how often you do interviews and all, but it's like it's nice to just talk about things that you've done. Be proud of your accomplishments, Michael, because you know what? I mean, you're doing something that people like me and many other people in the world, we all want to make an impact. We all want to leave a legacy, and you've done that. And you continue to do that. So be proud of that, no matter what.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, letting me share about, the struggles that I went through too, because there will be people who listen to this at some point and are going through that struggle, and I just want to let them know that there's a way out of it, and you don't have to live that way anymore.
Absolutely. Now, for anybody that hasn't learned enough about you from this interview, how can they follow you for more updates and stuff about your life and everything? You have like
Boy,
a website or anything like that, or, or
excuse
Facebook,
me?
Or, you have a website
Yeah,
or
you
Facebook?
get on my Facebook page. Also, IMBD, is constantly updated as to the different things I'm working on. You can Google my play Breathing Under Dirt for updates about that. I try to keep active on the social media stuff. So on Instagram or Facebook, I always do updates on different things that I'm working on.
All right.
And you can
Awesome.
also take me on Instagram if you want to follow me.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, man. And this has been a very fun interview. I want to thank Jacob for Marshall for helping put this together because I'm really honestly happy to have you on. You seem like a very fun person.
I appreciate Jacob too. He's just a really nice young guy, and he's a wonderful advocate for me, and I appreciate him setting this up for us.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see you next time for another great interview, and thanks again, Michael. I do appreciate you.
Thank you, Frankie. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
It's
Bye-bye.
the Red River Valley Motorcyclist Spirit of America Bike and Car Show, Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th at the Alara Center in Grand Forks, and they're looking for sponsors and vendors. This is a great opportunity to get your business noticed by thousands of people for this 2 long days of this awesome event. If you'd like to get your business noticed, or if you'd like a booth, contact Sarah, 763-568-1946, or Dennis at 701-741-5205. There'll be a raffle with over $90,000 worth of prizes, including a Polaris 1000 North Star Ultimate Crew Cab Ranger, a Harley-Davidson Street Glide, and Polaris Sportsman 570, with the net proceeds benefiting the Veterans Honor Flight of North Dakota, Minnesota. And veterans are absolutely free. Find out more by going to rrvmnd.org. Red River Valley Motorcyclist Spirit of America Bike and Car Show, Saturday and Sunday, May 3rd and 4th at the Alara Center in Grand Forks.
Come that lightning dot in my DeLorean's roar. 88 miles, time waves crashing on shore. You don't know what you got in the time stream flow. You don't know what you got till the past is a goal. You don't know what you got till you're out of that door. Oh baby, 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 push that pedal once more. Fuel up the flux, ain't no turning back. We're on the edge of time in a lightning track. Guitar riffs and engine screams, roads where we're going, we don't need no dream. We got the power of love, it's heavy as can be. A photo in my pocket, fading family. Spark of the sky as we tear through the night. History's page about to rewrite. This DeLorean's more than a machine. It's our ride through the fabric of space and the bends of time. Behind the wheel, it's a wild kind of deal with the clock ticking down. Gotta keep it real. Got my puffy vest, my kicks so clean. Marty McFly, part of Doc's wild scheme. Glory to the future, leave dust in the rear. Biff can't touch us, we're shifting gear. You don't know what you got in this time jumping dance. You don't know what you got till you take that chance. Out there on the edge of science and time, got this crazy doc saying the future's all mine. 88's the number, lightning's the game, revving up the DeLorean, fueling the flame. We got hoverboards flying, ain't no lying in this tale.
and scream. Shades on tight, we're living out this dream. It's a Midwest riff